Today, I'm going to tell you some lies told about concealed carry. These things to me are so atrocious because concealed carry is a lifestyle that I have embraced over the past 9 years, but understandably, some people have some concerns when it comes to concealed carry, but to me, these are just flat out lies that I want to debunk, maybe not through hardline facts, but just what I think is common sense and my own personal opinion. Let's go ahead and get right in. First lie we're going to talk about in concealed carry is you don't need it, or why do you need it? You may hear things like, well, if you're not going to sketchy areas, what do you need to carry a gun for? Or, man, what do you think you are, John Wayne or Dirty Harry? You live in the nicest neighborhood in the area. You may hear things like, well, if you don't go to sketchy areas, what do you need something like that for? What are you trying to prove? What are you, some kind of a badass? I mean, things like that don't happen that often. Any number of things you will hear, especially when you start telling people like, yeah, I carry a gun. And people that just don't understand or don't want to think about what could happen, even though we all have access to the news through social media and everything else, we see things happen, but yet it's almost like some people block that stuff out and are like, well, yeah, that happened at their grocery store or their movie theater, but it won't happen at mine. I mean, that's hundreds of miles away, whatever, they just don't think that that could happen to them where they frequent. But let me tell you, anywhere that you frequent that has more than one person that you don't know around you can become the bad part of town. A gas station, a grocery store, a movie theater, sitting in stop and go traffic with road ragers all around you. These things can happen very quickly. They can happen, and most of the time they do happen unexpectedly. And the whole question of why you need it is because just that. Some people just lose it, and you have no idea when this is going to happen. You have no idea what's going on in their lives. And then all of a sudden, your whole world gets turned upside down and you don't have an option with you. That's got to be a terrible feeling. I never want to be in that position where I don't have an option. And the number one equalizer in the world is a firearm. That's what turns a 5'0" woman from a victim to a survivor right there. Okay, so that balances the odds in her or his favor, no matter who you are. So why not take advantage of that? It is a right given to us at birth. So in my opinion, you should utilize that right and make sure that you are not just the next victim at one of these tragedies that we all hear about. If you're new here, I actually do concealed carry videos just like this one every single week, whether that's tips, belts, holsters, the latest and greatest concealed carry guns. I also do rifles and a host of other gun content right here on the channel. So if you would like to join me here and join our community, make sure you subscribe down below, drop me a like on the video, and share the video with your friends. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Second thing we're going to talk about, and the point that people like to make to discredit you, the concealed carrier, is, well, cops have guns. That's absolutely true. But just the idea that cops are roaming our streets and trying to protect our streets doesn't keep criminals from doing what they are going to do anyways. Cops report on crime. They show up to crime scenes. They do what they can, but they're very limited. Police officers per capita in your population, depending on your city, this probably varies wildly from a place like Montana to a place like New York City or San Francisco or whatever. The bigger the city, the more cops they're obviously going to have, right? But I just pulled up this website right here, and I'll link it down below. But average response times in San Francisco, 5.46 minutes. Okay, so in Fort Worth, it's 9.5 minutes. In Dallas, it is over 8 minutes. New York City, it's 6.5 minutes. So you're talking about statistically 3 seconds, 3 feet, and 3 shots fired. There ain't enough room on this range for the both of us, which means somebody's got to go. Just say when. Now, there's enough room. So it is up to you to be able to protect yourself almost always, not on the cops to be able to protect you, okay? The presence of cops, in my opinion, is going to deter some people, but not hardened criminals, not people that really just want to do harm to you and your family. It's kind of like that whole security sign thing that I've talked about in the past. Yeah, security sign will help to lessen your chances of your house being broken into, but somebody that maybe knows you and they know what you have and they want to break into your home, they're going to do it regardless, you know what I mean? So if you become the target of a criminal, it doesn't matter that cops are 5 minutes down the road. They're going to do that and try to get out as quick as possible. So if somebody ever says that to you in the future, you can say, well, I don't want to be another statistic where the cops reported on the crime that made me a victim. And the last lie about concealed carry we're going to talk about, carrying on a loaded chamber is scary and irresponsible. Now, I've heard this before and it really just screams inexperience. So I get the idea that having a loaded gun on you, as opposed to just having a gun with a loaded magazine, is totally different. But remember how we just talked about 3 seconds, 3 rounds, and 3 feet? You're going to waste a lot of time if you're trying to load a gun. And that's after you've gotten the gun out of your waistband, out of your holster. Even worse if you have it in a purse or off body, and then you have to load it. All right, so to demonstrate this, I want to show you what this looks like timed. So I'm going to do like 2 or 3 with a loaded and an unloaded gun. Now I'm using snap caps in the gun right here, okay? So as you can see right there. So obviously no live ammo or anything like that. And my mom is actually timing this. So as soon as I go to draw, she's going to start it. And as soon as I say okay, my sights are lined up. Sometimes they're literally so close to you, and 3 yards pretty close, that it is a point and shoot, but we're just gonna use our sights, and my sights have to be lined up. Okay, let's try it. Okay. 2.56. Now we did this the other day, and man, we were running like a second and a half, something like that, if I remember correctly. So I got one more snap cap in there. Let's try one more time here. Okay. 1.73. So that's actually pretty quick. But the thing is, we're in a controlled environment, black screen, lights. The only thing in this room that's a threat is my dog, and he's not a threat. Well, at least not to me. So there's that. You add the element of you are caught off guard. You're going to be surprised and shocked that this is even happening. Then you have to get your gun out and then load it. These are precious seconds, man. So what I show right here does not mean that's what you're going to replicate in the real world unless you are really good with that muscle memory and practicing and carrying on a loaded chamber. So now I'm going to load the snap cap. Now let's see where we are. Okay. 1.35. So that saved quite a bit of time. Remember, 3 seconds. So it's not a lot of time you have to work with here on average. Try one more time. Okay. 1.38. So that's how much time you can save having a loaded gun. And again, this takes practice, and it takes you doing your part with this, practicing sitting down with the draw, practicing standing up, whatever, multiple situations you want to be prepared for that. But having your gun chambered and knowing that you have the training to be safe with that gun is key. Modern guns are designed to be carried with a round in the chamber, mainly because of those facts and statistics. You need to be able to pull that gun, point, line sights up, shoot, whatever. If they're close enough to you, A lot of times it is a point and shoot kind of thing, but you don't want to have to grab it, load it, then try to shoot. You're already stressed out. So that is a life-saving tip in and of itself. Get comfortable with this. Practice keeping your finger off the trigger until you are ready to fire. That gun is not going to just go off in your holster. I don't know that that's happened to anybody. And I know somebody's going to say, oh yeah, unless you carry a P320 and drop it on its back. Oh, okay. You know, there's nothing I could say to that guy. But what I am saying is get comfortable with the idea, keeping that gun loaded, and you knowing that as long as you don't mess up, then you're good to go. Most modern guns have built-in safeties. They may have external safeties, but unless you pull the trigger to the rear, boom, it ain't gonna fire. So I guess that's not really a lie, just more of not understanding how precious time can be in a stressful situation like that, and maybe not knowing the mechanics of a gun, but it still ain't right. Just make sure that you are practicing and make sure that you have a loaded gun on you with one in the chamber, so that way you're ready and prepared if something like that were to ever happen to you. Now, I would love to hear the community out here and see what other lies you have been told about concealed carry. Heck, I may use them in a part 2 in this video series. If y'all like this, make sure that you, again, drop me a like down below. Share this with your friends or somebody that may be thinking about concealed carry. That would be awesome. And if you want to support what I do, you can do that right here on Patreon for as little as $1, or you can join the community right here on YouTube. Love to have you join. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.